Guys, I'm not usually in a hurry to pick a lock and return it to whoever sent it, but in this case, Nuclear Locksmith needs this thing back. And that's because his son is Joshua, 5 years old, and he really wants this orange lock back. That's his lock, and when a 5-year-old is stressed, the universe is stressed. So let's go ahead and see about picking this. This is an American 3600. It is a challenge lock. It also contains an Everest Lock, which for a lot of you new guys, there's some unique things about this. When you look at an Everest Lock, let's get a pic here and I can point it out to you. You have a little symbol that looks kind of like Mount Everest, so that's a big clue. The other big clue is that obstruction that you see right there in the bottom of the keyway, and they put that there for two reasons. One, it prevents us from working from the bottom, and number two, it protects the 7th pin, which is right on the right hand side at the back of the lock. So this is actually a 7-pin lock, 6 on the top and then that one nasty little bugger right there on the bottom. But we're going to try to pick this thing open. This is the key, very challenging bitting, but it is a challenge lock. Another odd thing about this lock, I just found it out a few minutes ago, is it turns counterclockwise about 1/8 of a turn, and that's it. It doesn't do anything. But oddly, it turns about 1/4 turn clockwise with no spring tension, and then you get heavy spring tension as it picks up the actuator. So it works perfectly, but I kind of wonder why that's happening. So we're going to take a look at that, and then my words aren't enough. I'm going to have to show you that security pin, because I think once you see it, you have a really good idea about how to beat it in the future. Let's move this junk out of here and see if we can get into it and see what those guts look like. Okay, it is a Schlage, wide open keyway, at least on the top, so I can put a 50 thousandths, I think. Yep, so we can put the thick one in there, pretty good stuff. And I'm going to use 2 picks on this lock. Let me zoom in a little bit so maybe you can see the core just a little bit better if we start getting some feedback. I'm going to use a gem, and then I'm also going to use a standard hook. And I'm counting 6, and based on what I saw on the key, that's what I would expect. And then on the bottom, I'm going to use a standard hook to beat that pin that's on the bottom. If you look at let me grab one here. If you take a look at a Everest key, you'll notice that on the side of it, you have a little side cut, and that's another big clue that you're dealing with an Everest. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get this thing picked. It is a challenge lock. It's flopping around quite a bit there, so I'm going to first try to bully it, and then if that doesn't work, we'll change tactics. Looking for a binder. I'm just trying to force, if I find one, I'm trying to force him. And the first time through, that was pin 1. I got to click on him. Oh, pin 2. Trying to get around that corner, even with a 15 thousandths, can be a little tough. I'm going to try it from the ledge. And I think he's good. Alright, looking for another binder, and I'm on 6. A little bit of resistance. Got to click on him. Oh, I just heard something drop. 6 fell down. I got him to click again. I'm on 2 again, so he fell. That was 3. 6 is still good. 3 is good, 2 is good, and I think 1 is good, but I got no turn on the core yet. Okay, that was 3 again. He'd fallen down. Six is set, 5 is set. I think 4 is good, but I got nothing on the core here. So something's not right. And when you have this kind of situation, that's when you want to take your standard pick, or you can use a probe for this. And when we activate that pin on the bottom, we actually have to lift him up. So we have to put it in at an angle and then kind of roll it to lift that pin out of the bottom, because it actually penetrates the shell. And when I did that just now, I felt a slight click. So that tells me that that pin, the one on the bottom, was the binder. So you never know when that's going to happen until you get everything springy on the top and you think you got it picked. Once you do that, there's pin 1. That was pin 1, so I got to click on him. Okay, there we go. Pin 4 had fallen back down, so when I got him in place, we got an open. All right, well, we don't really have an open, and that's because the actuator has to turn to there before it engages the actuator itself in the lock. So there we go. So let's open it up and figure out, first of all, why that happens, and then we're going to take a look at that, at the security pin. Oops, other way, Bill. All right, let's hope that it doesn't take some weird... All right, it takes a Phillips. What do you know? Miracle of miracles. It doesn't take a Torx or a metric and a half Torx or hex or something. Okay, so this is the housing that holds everything in threaded. So this is what holds the core in place. So you can pretty much use any core you like. Any kick core anyway. Let's take a look in here. Get a light down in there, see if I have one here handy. There we go. I think you can see down in there, there's a 1/4 moon actuator in the lock itself. And I caught a glance of this when I took it out. This is not a 3/4 moon actuator on the back of here. This is a 1/2 moon. So basically you got a 1/4 moon to play with, or 90 degrees, and that's why it's turning that extra space. Anyway, let's take a look at this for you new guys who've never opened up one of these before or opened up a Schlage. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit and I'll show you how to do that. This one's a little bit unusual because we have the actuator on the top, on the back. Usually you don't have that. But what we need to do is, there's a small pin located right there. We depress that pin and then unscrew this knurled knob. Now there's a special wrench for this, but it only works when there's no actuator in place. Come on, baby. Come on. Okay, she just pops right off of there. And then when you get the back of here, there's something you got to watch for, this little pin. Don't let it spring out and hit you in the eye. And then don't forget to pull out, hopefully there's a spring in there. It's a tiny little spring. So set him aside, you don't want to lose him. We're going to be needing that guy. All right, we have this thing picked. Let me make sure what we got here. It is a medium follower. So I'm going to line him up like that, and the pins should come out right there on the top. There we go. And I'm on my finger on the bottom. I'm trying to hold in. I'm going to put my thumb on here and turn this over. There's a pin here. We're going to talk about him, but he's got a little, tiny little spring under him. So let me dump him out. We'll get back to him because it's impossible to pull these top pins out without dropping him anyway. Be careful of that little tiny spring that's under him. Don't want to lose that. They are hard to come by. All right, I'm going to back the zoom out so you can watch me dump these pins. Standard, 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 standard. There's no magic. I'm not seeing any magic here. No threading, nothing, just all standards. Well, let's see what we got atop here. And some tweezers. Okay, we're looking at a standard. Don't tell me these are all standards. That's not a challenge lock. Standard. Standard. Standard, they sure are. This is a stock lock. The only challenge was the bitting. And the last one, also standard. So we got 6 standard key pins, and we have 6 standard drivers. Okay, I'm going to dump the springs because I want to show you. We might as well learn something from this. You'll notice that unlike most of the Schlages, this one has a little hole in the bottom. Again, I'll back out so we can get that focus working good. And the reason we have the hole right here is because you'll notice on the core, that's where the pin hangs out. So when he goes in like this, that little pin is pushed up inside of the core to prevent it from turning. So let's go ahead and reassemble him real quick, because once you see it, you'll never have to worry about it again, because it's not really that hard to beat. All right, I'm going to push him down and slide him in there. And that's how he locks up the core. So even if you pick all the 6 on top, he's not going to work until you find some way to push him down. So I'm just going to push him down from the outside, and then I'll show you how we do it. Try to keep him from popping out. Okay, so he's down inside of there. All we're trying to do when we slide the pick down inside of here at angled is we lay the pick up next to him, and then we rotate the pick, and that's going to depress him down inside of there. And you know, that's exactly what the key does as well. So let's take a look at that. So when we slide the key in, you notice how the key pushes him down. And now if we take a magic marker and we mark, I'm trying to do this through the camera lens, where it is, and then we take our key out, you can see it falls right there at that little peak. That peak is what pushes that little pin out of the way and deactivates it so this core can turn with the key. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, well anyway, that's the Everest from Schlage. Nuclear locksmith, I think the real challenge here was, you probably hoped I didn't know it was an Everest, and we had really nice bidding on this one, I gotta say. But thanks to the lock, I'll make sure I get everything in express mail back so we can get Joshua off of your back. Anyway, thanks for the lock. Everybody stay safe, stay legal. All right, guys, I do have a little addendum here. We got some giveaways that I was sitting right here next to me and I completely forgot about it. First, we have the American H10 lock, and I'm going to give that away. And we also have 10 people that are going to be getting these really cool kits from UK Bumpkis, the Serenity kits, which are pretty much identical to the Mad Bobs, but basically half the price. You know what? I'm listening to you guys, and I hear the fact that you don't like me doing those printed pieces of paper. It's awkward, it takes time, so tell you what, from now on I'm just going to announce that the winners are up, and in order to find out whether or not you're a winner, go to the website, and that's lock-lab.com. You guys know that, it'll be in the notes, and there's a resources tab, and there'll be a little tab that says "You won!" exclamation point. And on there will be a list of all the winners of everything from this point forward. And I'm going to put it on there even before I put the video up on YouTube, so you can check it at any time to find out if you were one of the lucky winners. If you got any suggestions, send those in as well. I had one about an apartment security. Somebody wrote in and said, hey, you wrote a lot about home security. I live in an apartment. Can you help me out? And it really worked out because I happen to have a friend who's an apartment manager in a big apartment in Washington, D.C. And so I spent 3 hours with this security guy. So I learned a lot, and I put it all in the article, and in the next few days after I get them to check it out, it'll go up on the website. So anyway, I am listening. We're all part of one tribe, guys. Thanks for your time.